Incredible, heartwarming moment. Billionaire discovers little girl he knew begging in the rain. Reveals shocking connection. The rain poured down like a waterfall, drowning the city in a steady deluge. Inside a dimly lit diner, Sarah summoned every ounce of energy to stay afloat. She was a whirlwind of movement, serving cover after cover, her eyes betraying the fatigue that had settled into her bones. Her vibrant 8-year-old daughter, Lily, sat at the counter, drawing pictures on a napkin as she waited for her mother to finish her shift. With innocent fingers, she drew rainbows and butterflies, unaware of the storm brewing outside. Today, though, the storm was more than the weather. As the clock ticked relentlessly, Sarah felt the weight of her purse, a heavy burden now. She hesitated, digging for change, her heart racing. Every coin she found felt like a mountain of worries, each one a reminder of how close they were to running out of food. Finally, clinging to a handful of coins, Sarah cleared her throat as Lily tugged at her sleeve. "Mommy," Lily said, her innocent eyes wide. "Can we share our last sandwich with that man?" She pointed at an older man huddled against the storefront, seeking refuge from the downpour. Sarah's heart swelled with conflicting emotions. "But we're hungry, sweetie," she replied gently, her voice wavering. The thought of passing their last meal made her uneasy. Yet, there was something about Lily's selfless suggestion that tugged at her heartstrings. The young girl's kindness stunned her. "Please?" "He looks really sad," Lily pressed, her petite frame standing firm as if solidifying her choice. Sarah took a deep breath, forcing a smile, both proud and worried at the same time. Parenting was one slippery slope of emotions, tied together with love and sacrifice. Just then, as if fate had orchestrated this moment, a figure approached billionaire David Hawthorne, returning from a high-stakes meeting. He paused mid-stride, captivated by the sight of the two. It was the same neighborhood he once called home, stoked with memories of laughter and community. He hadn't seen Lily since she was just a baby playing at neighborhood block parties. Waves of nostalgia washed over him as he observed the scene, the unassuming mother holding the weight of the world in her tired eyes, and the small girl with her hopeful spirit, eager to share. It pained him to realize how disconnected he'd become from lives like theirs. Without thinking, he stepped forward, gingerly approaching them. "Sarah, is that you?" David's voice carried a hint of disbelief. Memories surged, causing a flicker of tension to rise. Sarah's face hardened, and in that moment, she was caught between wariness and the raw yearning of the vulnerable moment at hand. "Mr. Hawthorne," she stammered, her instincts battling with the need to protect her daughter. He had become everything she'd once fought against a man whose wealth had distanced him from the struggles they faced each day. Lily glanced between them, her tiny face scrunching with confusion but still radiating hopefulness. "He's a nice man, Mommy," she chimed, oblivious to the adult concerns clouding the air around them. Just as tension thickened, David's voice softened, breaking through the silence. "I remember when you used to live upstairs. You were family. You don't know what family means anymore." Sarah shot back, battling pride. But part of her recognized the disappointment lacing his words, a kindred spirit sharing hidden vulnerabilities. The wind howled above them as thunder rumbled, but in the heart of the storm, a fragile connection began to weave itself. Would they dare to bridge the years, acknowledge the pain, and rediscover their shared humanity? The rain continued pouring, a steady rhythm over the city as they stood there, hearts racing, memories swirling like leaves in the storm. Would they heal their wounds, or would the heavy clouds of pride still linger overhead? David took a tentative step closer, feeling the weight of Sarah's tension. It was palpable, mixed with disbelief and a dash of hope. His heart raced. Here was a piece of his past, intimately tied to the memories he had buried beneath layers of success and comfort. "Sarah," he began, but the words caught in his throat. Lily's small voice broke the charged silence. "Mommy, can we please give him the sandwich?" "Look," he asked, smiling, she said, pointing to David. There was something so innocent in her plea, a fragile thread tugging at Sarah's heart, nudging her to reconsider. "Lily," Sarah murmured. She knelt down to her daughter, her eyes scanning the storm around them. They had so little. Could they afford to share? But the angelic look on Lily's face melted even the hardest of resolves. Despite her doubts, something in Sarah softened. Okay, she said quietly, taking a breath. But just half. But I brought it all the way from home, protested Lily, her eyes sparkling with determination. He needs it more than we do. David couldn't help but chuckle at the sheer honesty radiating from the little girl. In that moment, he saw not just a child, but a mirror reflecting the values he had grown up with, values he had neglected in pursuit of wealth. I'd be honored to share it, he said, his voice warm and genuine as Sarah reluctantly extended the small sandwich to him. David felt a rush of gratitude. It was just a sandwich, but it symbolized something deeper, a bridge between their worlds, an unspoken forgiveness of the past. Thank you, really, he said, sincerity pouring through. You've both reminded me of what truly matters. Sarah watched as David took half the sandwich and offered it to the man huddled in the rain. For a moment, time stood still. The true weight of charity and humility hung in the air, a soothing balm against their individual struggles. David's act radiated through the storm, a beacon calling them back to their shared humanity. Yet, as David's eyes returned to Sarah, a tension lingered in the space between them. What happened to you? He asked gently, genuinely asking for more than a surface-level response. You've changed. Bitter memories flickered in her mind. Life happened, she replied, her voice barely a whisper. You wouldn't understand. Before David could respond, the thunder cracked louder, urgency masked by rain-soaked anxiety. Sarah stood, straightening her back, brushing off the weight of the past. We should go, she insisted. Lily's tiny hand slipped into hers, trusting and naive. Wait, David called out, desperation lacing his voice. I want to help. I can't just leave it like this. What do you intend to do? Sarah challenged, her defenses rising again. You can throw money at problems, Mr. Hawthorne. It doesn't fix anything. David's face fell. I want to do more than that. If you give me a chance, the storm raged on, but in that moment, they were locked in a battle far stronger than the elements surrounding them. Would Sarah let him in, or would she carve more walls around her heart? As she and Lily turned to leave, David stood frozen, wrestling with what it would mean to reconnect with them. In a few fleeting moments, lives and families hung delicately in the balance. With each step, Sarah's worries deepened. Would she let the past dictate her future? Or could the kindness of a chance encounter with an old friend transform everything they thought they knew about life? The rain continued to pour, and the burdens they carried felt heavier than ever. Was it too late to rebuild what had been lost? Or was there a chance for something beautiful to emerge from this storm? The rain fell harder now, as if nature itself mirrored the turmoil in Sarah's heart. She tightened her grip on Lily's hand, feeling the comforting squeeze of trust from her daughter. It was a tether, grounding her amidst the chaos of memories flooding her mind. Memories of laughter, dreams, and love now choked by disappointment. She didn't want to open that door, but standing there with David jolted her with an overwhelming sense of nostalgia. Mommy, why are we leaving? Lily's innocent question broke through the storm. Her wide eyes searched Sarah's face for answers. I just need to think, Sarah replied, her voice trembling. She could hardly summon the courage to meet David's gaze again. The storm outside was nothing compared to the tempest within her. I can help you, David said, stepping forward in earnest. Really, I can help? You don't know the first thing about us. Sarah snapped, the words spilling out in a rush. She realized immediately how sharp her tone had been, chastising herself. But it was too late. Just give me a chance, he pleaded, his deep voice rich with sincerity. I'm not asking for friendship, Sarah. I want to understand. I want to be here for you and Lily. Lily tugged at her mother's sleeve. Mommy, please. He just gave food to that man. He really wants to help. Sarah's heart sank. How could she tell Lily the truth? That people could say one thing but mean another. She was afraid, and the skepticism scared her even more. Why now? She whispered, almost to herself, "What do you want, David? To feel good about yourself? To scrub away your guilt?" The rain intensified, pounding harder against the pavement. It felt like a fitting soundtrack to her internal struggle. David's expression faltered, his mouth opening like he wanted so desperately to say something. But all that came was silence, heavy and pleading. "Because I care," he finally said, uncharacteristically vulnerable. "I've thought about you both. Every day. I was so wrapped up in myself, I lost sight of what I had in you. If only I had stopped." Sarah interrupted. Each admission struck at her resolve. She was torn between anger and a flicker of hope. "You don't get to rewrite our past just because you feel guilty now." "No, you're right," he said urgently, his eyes pleading. "But I want to do better. I know it's hard for you to believe, but I want to help in whatever way I can. But I can't do this alone." Their eyes met, each searching for something the glimmer of understanding, perhaps. Sarah felt an ache for a connection that once thrived. Should she let her heart be vulnerable again? In that moment, every unspoken tension between them felt like a question mark, hanging like the storm clouds above. "You don't understand," she pressed, her voice softer now. "It's not just about help. It's about trust." David nodded respectfully, though disappointment radiated from his features. "Let me earn that trust. Please." Her heart raced, the storm around them drowning out the ordinary noise of the city. "Mommy, he's really nice," Lily chimed in again, her small voice brimming with childlike enthusiasm. David offered a tentative smile, the kind that hinted at a soul longing for redemption. Sarah felt something shift within her, the crack in her walls widening just a fraction. Perhaps there was a chance, but at what cost? Could she face the risk of pain again? Or was the warmth they once shared worth resurrecting? As she turned to leave, the rain poured down heavily, drenching them all. But with each step, Sarah's resolve wavered. The warmth of Lily's trust felt like a tether leading her back, pulling her toward the possibility she was terrified to acknowledge. What would happen if she chose to believe him again? But before she could decide, a faint but unmistakable sound of sirens wailed nearby, merging with the storm. Sarah stopped, her heart suddenly racing again, realizing that the storm outside was just a shadow of the real storm brewing in their lives. Would she be brave enough to face whatever would come next? Sarah's breath caught in her throat as the wail of sirens pierced the air. The noise twirled around her tightly like the coils of an old spring, a reminder of the realities they couldn't escape. She felt dizzy, torn between relief and dread. She squeezed Lily's hand tighter, and the little girl looked up at her with a mixture of confusion and concern. "What's going to happen, Mommy?" Lily asked softly, her eyes wide and trusting. "I don't know, sweetheart," Sarah replied. Her voice shook, her heart aching. How could she shield Lily from this world, filled with broken promises and harsh truths? David stood there, caught somewhere between them, grounding and yet unwelcome. "Maybe we should get inside. We can talk without the rain drowning us." Sarah glanced up at the sky, lightning flashing in the distance, illuminating the worried lines on David's face. She wasn't sure where the currents of this evening would lead, but they could all be swept away if they stayed out in the storm. "Fine," she agreed after a moment. "But don't think this means I trust you." Lily's face lit up, her small hands clapping as if a door had suddenly opened in front of her. "Yay, we can be warm and dry." It was a moment of childish joy, and it tugged at Sarah's heart. She sighed, unconsciously leaning closer to David as they began walking toward a nearby cafe, the familiar smell of coffee wafting through the air as they approached. The neon sign flickered above, casting a warm glow onto the wet pavement. Inside, the cafe was a refuge from the chaos outside, filled with laughter and the soft hum of conversation. A few patrons glanced their way, curiosity evident in their expressions as they noticed the drenched trio. Sarah felt exposed, but chose a table at the back, where safety wrapped around them like a blanket as they settled into their seats. David looked over at Lily, his expression softening. "What do you like to do, Lily?" he asked, leaning forward with genuine interest. Lily's eyes sparkled. "I like to draw. and I want to be an artist one day. That's amazing, he said, visibly encouraged. What do you like to draw? Everything. Sometimes animals, and sometimes people. She twirled her hair, an endearing habit of hers when she was deep in thought. David's smile widened, and for a moment, Sarah saw a side of him she hadn't seen in years, the boy who admired their dreams. The boy who used to look at her with the hope of a bright future. It dawned on her how much time had passed, how many changes life had thrust upon each of them. "Can I see your drawings?" he asked, his voice filled with warmth. "Oh, I have some on my tablet," Lily exclaimed with unfiltered excitement. She dug it out of her backpack, her small fingers flying over the screen as she navigated to her latest creations. In that small, cozy cafe, with the storm raging outside, Sarah felt a moment of contentment bubble up. Lily's enthusiasm was infectious, and even David leaned back, a smile etched across his face as he watched. But beneath it all, a dark cloud loomed in Sarah's heart. The joy her daughter felt was bittersweet, a reminder of what could still go wrong. "Hey, Sarah," David broke the moment, his tone serious. "I want to prove to you that I can be part of your lives again. Just give me some time." She looked him straight in the eye, searching for sincerity buried beneath layers of regret and desire. The flicker of hope from earlier returned, but with it came a wave of skepticism. Could people truly change? Moving slowly, Sarah took a deep breath. "I'll think about it." Just then, the cafe's door swung open, and an unexpected figure stepped inside, a man with disheveled hair and anxious eyes. He looked around, locked on their table, and Sarah's gut twisted. She felt her earlier peace dissolve, because there was something hauntingly familiar about him. And in a heartbeat, she knew that the wave of uncertainty wasn't over as he approached. Her heart thudded loudly, drowning out the noise around them. Who was he? And why did he look like he knew them? What did he want? And why did it suddenly feel like they were all hurtling toward the truth none of them were ready for? The man's steps were hesitant but purposeful. Sarah could feel her heartbeat quicken, each thump echoing louder in her ears. Lily had finally found the drawing she wanted to share, oblivious to the storm brewing at their table. "Look, Mommy, this one is of our dog," Lily exclaimed, eyes bright and animated. She held up the tablet, a drawing of a fluffy golden retriever with an oversized grin. David smiled. He seemed relieved by the distraction, but Sarah was fixated on the approaching stranger. "Excuse me," the man said, his voice cutting through the cafe's soft chatter. He had a slight stutter, almost childlike, and Sarah felt the weight of his gaze. "Are you Sarah?" Her throat went dry. Why did her name feel like a weight he was struggling to carry? Doubts ignited instantly. "Who wants to know?" she replied, keeping her expression guarded, protective. "I'm Aaron," he stammered, drawing closer. "I used to work with David a long time ago." The mention of David made Sarah's stomach twist. "Why are you here?" she asked, her voice sharper than she intended. She was feeling cornered, the air thick with tension. I heard he was back, and I thought I should come to see you both." Aaron's eyes flickered to Lily and back to Sarah, a desperate search for understanding. "You look so much like your mother." Lily, still engrossed in her world of colors, looked up suddenly. "Mommy, who is he?" "Stay close, sweetie," Sarah said, taking a protective step to shield her daughter, her instincts on high alert. "Aaron, is it?" David responded, his tone steady yet baffled. "You're the one from back then?" A trace of recognition crossed his face, mixing confusion with something deeper, perhaps regret. Aaron nodded slowly, taking a breath. "I never wanted to be a bad memory. But things happened, things I didn't know how to fix. I just came to apologize for everything." "Apologize?" Sarah echoed, incredulous. Her mind raced through memories, unfinished conversations, and the pain of past betrayals. "You think that's enough?" "Sarah," David interrupted, his eyes darting between them. "Let him speak." Aaron shifted uncomfortably, hands tucked into his pockets. "I won't take much of your time. I just wish to explain. Maybe you deserve to know why things ended the way they did." As Lily's animated voice drifted off into silence, the cafe seemed to close in around them. The air was thick with unsaid words, past grievances lingering like shadows. Sarah could feel the weight of years pressing down on them as she looked at David, then back to Aaron. You're not supposed to just walk back into our lives and say sorry like it's that simple. Sarah's voice trembled, rooted in a mixture of anger and fear. You left us. You don't get to just come back. I know, Aaron said, his eyes pleading, and I'm not expecting forgiveness. I just want a chance to explain how it all fell apart. How I wished I could have done more to protect you, both of you. The broken remnants of their past hung heavily in the air, and Sarah felt as if the world around them began to sway. What do you mean protect us? She whispered, almost to herself. Because I knew about the danger, the threats, and I didn't act on them. His voice broke, and Sarah noticed the way his hands shook slightly. I didn't stand up for you. David's gaze shifted to Sarah. An unspoken exchange passed between them. Memories of decisions made and trust shattered, rising like ghosts around them. Then tell us, she demanded, though she could feel her heart racing, caught in a battle between fear and the faint glimmer of hope. What happened? What do you know? A pause filled with anxiety settled between them, and the flickering cafe lights felt like dim stars preparing for a storm. As she waited, Sarah wondered if this man could potentially unravel a truth that had been hidden all these years, one that might shred the fragile fabric of their lives further. Would the weight of this revelation bring them closer or tear them apart once more? Lily tugged at her arm. Mommy, I'm scared, and before Sarah could respond, the thunder roared outside, echoing the tumult within. What was in store for them all? The air thickened as Aaron took a step closer, his eyes shimmering with a mix of guilt and determination. I know this is hard to hear, he murmured, but you deserve the truth. What truth could possibly justify everything you've done? Sarah's voice wavered, tension coiling tightly in her chest. A few years back, Aaron continued, almost hesitantly, I got word about a situation. There were people watching you, people who wouldn't think twice about hurting you to get to David. I thought I could handle it from my end. I thought I could protect you without ever being too close, you know? Protect us by doing nothing? Sarah's voice broke, the weight of his words hitting her like a punch. She felt dizzy, grasping the table to steady herself. Please, just hear me out. Aaron's gaze darted over to Lily, who was now quietly coloring, blissfully unaware of the tumult engulfing them. I thought distancing myself would keep you safe. I thought I was doing the right thing. Right by abandoning us? David's voice was strained, laced with anger. You put us at risk, Aaron. You can't just play the martyr now. Aaron's shoulders slumped, the ghost of his past decisions etched deep in his features. I didn't know how to fix it, David. I was terrified. I thought those threats were more about me than you. The silence wrapped around them again, charged and uncomfortable. Sarah could feel her anger seeping into despair. So what are you saying? She pressed. That you wanted to protect us, but instead let fear control you? Yes. The fervor in Aaron's voice surprised them all. I can't change what I did. I can't go back. But I'm here now because I need you to understand that I never stopped caring. David clenched his fists, his breathing ragged. You don't get to just flip it like that. What happens if we let you back in? What if you drop us again? Aaron's eyes were pleading. Then you can kick me out. I'm not expecting an easy path, but I owe it to you both to face whatever happens next. Lily suddenly looked up again, sensing the growing storm swirling between the adults. Her innocent voice rang out. Are we talking about the scary people? The ones from the stories? Both Sarah and David turned their attention to her. The moment felt surreal. Lily, with her childlike innocence, bridging the gap of tension they all felt. It's okay, sweetheart, Sarah whispered, taking a deep breath. She looked back at Aaron, searching for something, an explanation, a sign of remorse, any kind of hope. What do you really want from us? I want to help, Aaron said, his voice tremulous. I want to show you that I can be trusted. I know I don't deserve it, but I want to prove it to you. I need you to at least give me a chance. Sarah's heart raced, a hurricane of emotion crashing within her. The thunder rolled again outside, aligning with the storm brewing in her chest. Could they really allow this man back into their lives? Or was it too dangerous? David caught her gaze, seeking reassurance. The unspoken word hung between them, binding their past together with an uncertain future. "Mommy," Lily said gently, her tone uncharacteristically serious. "Can we trust him?" Sarah's heart lurched, trapped beneath a layer of fear and yearning for the safety she fought so hard to cultivate. Could she let herself consider it? The thought of new hope frightened her. As she wrestled with her feelings, the cafe doors swung open with a sudden crash, and the wind swept in like an unwelcome guest, scattering papers and stirring chaos. "What now?" David breathed. Eyes darting toward the entrance, a figure loomed beneath the doorframe, casting a long shadow that enveloped them all. Was this a new threat approaching, or yet another chance to uncover hidden truths? In that moment, the ground beneath them shifted, and everything they held dear teetered on the brink. The figure in the doorway took a step forward, and the faint light illuminated a face that sent chills down Sarah's spine. It was a woman, drenched from the rain, her eyes wild with desperation. There was something familiar about her, something that made Sarah's heart race in a way she couldn't fully understand. "Please," the woman gasped, her voice cracking. "I need your help." David instinctively moved closer to Sarah and Lily, positioning himself as a barrier. Sarah felt the heat of his body against hers, a reminder that in this chaos, they were stronger together. "Who are you?" David demanded, voice low but firm. The woman blinked rapidly, the anguish nearly tangible. "It's me, Clara." The declaration hung in the air, thick with recognition. Sarah remembered the name, the girl from a dark chapter in Aaron's past. You were part of his life back then." "Yes." Before everything fell apart, Clara stepped in, shaking off the rain like a wet dog. "I couldn't talk to him then, and I'm not safe now." Aaron's face paled. "You shouldn't be here. You're putting yourself at risk." "Right now, I'm risking everything," Clara replied, her eyes darting to the windows. "If they find me, oh God, I can't let them find me." Lily, confused and unafraid, looked up at her mother. "Is she one of the scary people?" "No, honey." Sarah knelt beside her daughter, trying to shield her from the rawness of the situation. "But she needs our help." The tension thickened. David crossed his arms, his mind racing. "How do we know you're not bringing more trouble? How do we know you're not lying?" Clara's eyes glistened with sincerity. "I came to warn you, David. Why should we trust you?" He countered again, his voice steady but trembling. "Because," Clara said softly, "I care about Aaron. What he did destroyed us all. But I would never hurt you." "That's a bold claim," David sneered. But there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Aaron stepped forward, his own emotion clashing against the tide of mistrust in the room. "Clara, you shouldn't have come here. You're risking everything for me." "It's not just for you," she replied. "I can't let the past bury us anymore. I need your help to stop them. They want something from you." Sarah looked between the three of them, her heart thumping wildly. They were spiraling down a path that felt reckless, but the survival instinct kicked in like a beating drum. "What do you mean they want something?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Clara moved closer, urgency in every breath. "There's more to the story than Aaron's fear. There are people who found out too much, people who will do anything to silence us." The wind howled outside, a visceral response to the intensity building within the cafe. Sarah could feel a storm brewing, not just outside, but in their lives. She turned to Aaron, searching for the truth in his eyes. "Is this really happening? Is it safe for us to be involved?" "I don't know," Aaron admitted, his voice trembling. "But I want to let anything happen to you not again." In that moment, a crash echoed from the back of the cafe, startling everyone. David shot a glance over his shoulder, anxiety gripping his heart. "This is only the beginning," Clara said, her voice laced with fear. "They're closer than you think." As the tension grew, Sarah's mind raced. Trust was a fragile thing. Could they risk it all for a shot at safety, or was this the opening they all feared would lead to darkness? Clara's presence changed everything, dragging their past back into the light. The stakes were rising, and Sarah realized the choices they made next could seal their fate. "Stay alert, everyone," David warned, determination filling his tone. "We need a plan." But as another crash echoed from behind the counter, the feeling of unease gripped Sarah's heart anew. Who or what was coming for them next? And could they survive the storm that was only just beginning? David's fists clenched at his sides as he processed everything. Clara was a ghost from their past, but she was a living, breathing reminder of choices that resonated beyond them. What had Aaron done that could bring shadows creeping into their lives? Clara, Aaron said, his voice still wavering, but now sounding resolute. You need to tell us everything. We can't make decisions based on fragments of fear. Clara looked down, her brow furrowed, grappling with memories that seemed to claw at her. I thought I could handle it alone. I didn't want to bring anyone back into this mess, especially not you, Aaron. It's too late for that. Sarah stepped closer, her heart racing faster than before. What did you mean when you said they want something from him? A tense silence blanketed the room as Clara met Sarah's gaze. Aaron was involved with a group that operates in shadows. They thrive on secrets. They know things about him that could ruin lives. They're not the kind of people you want to cross. Sarah exchanged a worried glance with David, feeling a chill creep in. And you think they're coming after us too? Not just you, Clara replied, her voice trembling. If they find me, they'll use me to get to Aaron. To hurt all of you. Lily, still perched beside her mother, pulled at Sarah's shirt. Mommy, I'm scared. Sarah knelt down, pulling Lily into a warm embrace. She had to stay strong, a pillar in this storm. I know, sweetie. I'm scared too, but we'll figure out together. We're family. David's brow furrowed deeper. If they want him, we can't stay in this cafe. We have to move, get somewhere safe. Clara shook her head. There's nowhere safe, David. They have eyes everywhere. That's why I came here. I thought I could reach you before it's too late. Before anyone could respond, the cafe door slammed open against the wall, the wind howling violently behind it. The bone-chilling gust seemed to carry with it the weight of danger. Clara froze, eyes widening with fear. They're here, we have to move now, David urged, taking charge. He looked to Clara and Aaron. You lead us out. But Clara was hesitant, caught in a storm of emotions that mirrored the chaos outside. I don't know if I can. I'm not sure I'm strong enough for this. We don't have a choice, Aaron replied, taking her arm. We have to face this together. Sarah's heart pounded as she clutched Lily tighter. Where do we go? What is the plan? Clara took a shuddering breath, contemplating their next move. There's a place I know, an abandoned cabin in the woods, a couple miles from here. It's isolated, but it was where I used to hide out. I might be able to buy us some time. David glanced at Sarah, searching for agreement. We take the back route. Stay quiet. If they're out there, we don't want to draw attention. As everyone fell silent, the sound of footsteps began to tread heavily on the rain-soaked pavement outside, sending a jolt of electricity through the air. A rush of adrenaline bloomed inside Sarah, mingled with fear. Go, David commanded, propelling them forward. With Lily guiding her hand, Sarah moved swiftly toward the back door, Clara leading the way. The light from the cafe flickered before they slipped into the darkness. The cold night wrapped around them like a shroud, but the urgency of their situation propelled them ahead, adrenaline on high. Just as they reached the rear exit, a shout pierced the night. The hunters were closer than they thought. Run, Clara yelled. Urgency etched across her face as they dashed into the rain-soaked night. A question loomed over them. Were they truly escaping, or simply running deeper into the unknown? Sarah's heart raced as she realized their moment of truth was just beginning. Would they find safety, or would the shadows finally catch up with them? The rain fell in sheets, drenching them as they sprinted into the night. Clara led the way, her heart pounding in synchrony with the pounding of the rain against the pavement. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, hunted. Every shadow felt like it was pulsing with the threat of danger. As they rounded a corner, David glanced over his shoulder, the weight of responsibility settling heavily on him. Keep moving, he urged, his voice barely audible over the storm. Clara glanced back too. All she saw was a blur of darkness swirling beneath the dim streetlights. Lily clung close to Sarah, her small fingers entwined with her mother's. "Mommy, are we going to be okay?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The innocence in her question pierced through the chaos, echoing in Sarah's mind. "We will, honey. I promise," Sarah replied, forcing a calmness into her tone. But inside, fear writhed like a wild animal. She kept her grip on Lily tighter, anchored by the small warmth of her daughter. They turned into a narrow alley, puddles splashing beneath their hurried steps. Clara paused to catch her breath before pointing toward the end of the alley. "There! That's the way to the woods." As they reached the street's end, a sudden noise froze them. A car engine revved nearby, followed by headlights slicing through the rain. Clara's eyes widened. "They've found us." "Hide!" David shouted, pushing everyone against the wall of the alley. Sarah could feel her heart pounding in her chest, the fear almost suffocating as the car pulled closer. She held Lily tightly, wishing she could shield her from everything that was coming. Through the rain-soaked glass, they caught glimpses of men, faces obscured in shadow. They were searching, their cold expressions revealing nothing but determination and intent. It sent shivers down Clara's spine. She remembered all too well how ruthless they could be. "Is it safe to move?" Aaron whispered, worry etched on his face. Clara's gut twisted. "I don't know," she replied, her voice shaky. "I need to know the coast is clear." Just then, a sound of metal clanging echoed as one of the men kicked a trash can, sending it clattering to the ground. The noise seemed to ignite something within the group. David tightened his jaw. "We have to go now." They pressed forward, the darkness of the woods looming ahead. As they crossed the threshold of trees, the rain hit harder, but they were surrounded by the protective embrace of nature. "Stay close," Clara urged, leading them deeper into the woods. It became harder to see. The foliage swallowed them up in shadows. Each step felt heavier. Every sound felt amplified in the silence between raindrops. But as they moved, a faint flicker caught Clara's eye. Just ahead, through the trees, glimmered a familiar sight, the wooden cabin she once knew. Hope flickered within her, but it was quickly honed down by the realization of what lay behind them. "Is that it?" David asked, catching a glimpse of the cabin, a hint of relief visibly breaking the tension on his face. "Yes, just a bit further," Clara panted, leading the way as she fought to stay ahead of the growing fear. As they reached the cabin, Clara burst through the door, its hinges creaking in protest. She turned to David and Sarah, her voice barely above a whisper. "We need to make it look like no one's here. Block the windows." The urgency reignited. They hurried to pull furniture and debris in front of windows, hearts racing. The storm outside echoed their emotional turmoil. The relentless rain, the old wood creaking, every sound heightened as tension wrapped tightly around them. Lily tugged at Sarah's shirt again. "Mommy, what happens next?" Sarah knelt down to meet her daughter's worried eyes, the weight of the world evident in her expression. "We stay quiet. Sweetheart, I need you to be brave for me, okay?" Just then, the sound of footsteps crunched nearby, and a cold sweat gripped Clara's heart as she realized they weren't out of danger yet. But they had to believe. Could they outlast the storm both outside and within? They could only wait and hope for a sign or perhaps a miracle. Would dawn bring hope, or would it usher in their darkest fears? The sky cracked open, spilling sunlight like warm honey over the remnants of the storm. The once thundering rain had softened, leaving the air fresh and alive. Inside the cabin, still cloaked in shadows, a tense silence filled the space. Sarah held Lily close, her heart racing a drumbeat of anxious hope. They were safe for now, but the shadows of the past loomed large, threatening the fragile trust budding between them. "Do you think they're gone?" David's voice, low yet steady, broke through the silence. Clara stood at the window, peering through the hastily piled furniture. "I hope so," she murmured, heart racing as she fought to steady her breaths. "But we need to be cautious. They could still be watching." Sarah leaned against the wall, exhaustion crashing over her like a tidal wave. She glanced at Lily, whose eyes sparkled even amidst the uncertainty. That innocent spirit was undeterred by the heavy burden of the adult world. "We'll make it through this, my love," she whispered, brushing a stray lock of hair off Lily's forehead. David moved closer, his expression straining against the guilt and pressure of past decisions. "Sarah, about everything that happened not now," she interrupted, shaking her head firmly. "First, let us focus on getting out of here safely." She felt the heat of emotions brewing inside her, a storm of its own. It was too soon for forgiveness, and to slowly trust him again felt like standing on a precipice where the drop was deep and the risk high. Hours passed. The tension felt tangible in the air. Clara paced, anxiety splattered across her features. "We have to make a plan. If they find us here," David straightened, resolve settling over him. "We'll need a distraction. I'll go first if you can help me create one." "Are you insane?" Clara shot back, horrified. "You can't just put yourself at risk like that." "I want to let them get to you or the girls," he said firmly. "I can run toward the highway, give you a chance to slip away." "No," Sarah shouted, panic threading through her voice. "You're not doing this alone." "Together then," David proposed, looking her dead in the eyes. "We do this together. We all get to safety." They huddled together, discussing their plans in hushed tones, strategies intertwining with fears, hopes igniting like flickers of a flame. When the final details took shape, Sarah felt her heart surge, anchored in purpose. They shared a knowing glance. Despite the turmoil, a new bond began to unfurl, one forged not just in grief, but in the shared determination to protect each other. Eventually, the sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows across the ground. David gave Clara a nod. "It's time. You lead Lily, and I'll bring up the rear." With hearts pounding, each step felt like a leap of faith out toward a world still drenched in the aftereffects of the storm. The forest held its breath, anticipation mingling with danger as they stepped through the doorway, leaving the safety of the cabin behind. Calm, courageous, and resolute, Sarah held Lily's hand as they moved, a fierce protector fired by love. She felt David's presence behind, a shield against the darkness that threatened to close in. Maybe, just maybe, the storm had washed away the bitterness of the past, allowing them a shot at healing. As they crept through the woods, watching for signs of danger, an undeniable lightness sprouted in Sarah's chest. Father and daughter beside her, they were a family navigating the unknown together, unearthing a connection deeper than before. The tension thickened, but a flicker of hope illuminated their path. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the trees, startling. Yes, but familiar. It was Aaron, breathing heavily, determination etched across his face. "You can't run from this. You need to face it." With measured breaths, they processed his presence. "What do you mean?" David asked, his voice firm. "Just as shadows seek the light, we must brave the darkness together. They're not out there alone. They're hunting you, but they can't find you when you stand united." Clara's resolve intensified as she leaned into the warmth of the family they built against the odds. "I can't run from my past anymore. If there's a chance to protect you all, I'll meet it head on." With clarity emerging from chaos, their fears blended with fragile hope. Sarah inhaled courage, her heart no longer bound by the weight of past disappointments. "Then we'll face this together, once and for all. No more running. We are stronger as one." Every heartbeat rang as they stepped forward, the tempest inside them no longer a storm, but a chorus of resilience. As they stood shoulder to shoulder, they faced the shadows barreling toward them, daring to claim their story anew. The night didn't seem so dark anymore. "Let us show them. We want to be silenced." Finally, they were ready to fight for a future woven from trust, connection, and fierce love, like a true family emerging from the storm. Now is the time to support this journey. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.